This is the Nerdy Things Podcast. This podcast contains strong language, adult themes, and poorly developed ideas. We apologize for nothing. Listener discretion is advised.
Tom Holland retconned into Iron Man 2.
I already have a vendetta against Tom Holland.
DC Extended Universe, 3 to 4 movies, at least one of them will be good.
Han Solo is too funny.
Jules, still millennial, Kevin and Tim, Zennials?
All that and more in this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of the Nerdy Things Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin. I am joined by Jules. Hey, Jules.
Heyo, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
And by Tim. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm not back because I never left.
Oh, fuck.
I've always been here. Boom.
Okay, and now we know why Tim's rapping career didn't take off and why he's doing this podcast with us.
What?
Oh, so how is everyone this week?
Great.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm back here. I was in LA and I have some stories. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that went on. I saw Steven Spielberg in traffic. That was a whole thing.
But you didn't talk to him about Hook, which was like, whatever.
No. I'm sorry. I missed my chance. That was my one brush with fame, and I missed it. I also saw, what's his name? Milo something. Villa,
Ventimiglia?
whatever. Yes, I saw that guy.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, I saw him at the
Milo
airport.
Ventimiglia.
I always forget his last name. But yeah, he was chilling
Coolest
at the
name in
airport.
Hollywood.
Yeah, and he was like trying to be inconspicuous, but that made him very like he was like trying to keep his head down. He had a hat, and he was just kind of like in the corner or whatever, trying to look like he's not somebody. But that immediately made him, everybody draw their eyes to him because he was trying to be so, whatever. And I was like,
why wouldn't it? I mean, especially out in LA, someone acting suspicious like that, you're going to be noticed. That's the point.
And especially in the airport. It's like, come on.
Plus, he's just suspiciously good looking.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell, with his like head down and all that stuff. But then when he started walking, I was like, oh, yeah, cool. All right.
There's Rocky's kid. Look at that.
That's exactly it. Like he does have that like Sly Stallone, one side of his face look going.
Yeah. He played Rocky's kid. You know that, right?
No, I know he did, which I found hilarious because I had equated him to Sly Stallone well before that because of the way his face moves.
Yeah,
and then
sense.
They had him play the kid, and I was like, boom, confirmation of fan theory here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, some other stuff I can probably talk about after this. Let's let them know what the deal is. We're the Nerdy Things Podcast, and we talk about a bunch of nerdy shit. We give you nerdy news at the beginning, and then we give you a huge topic at the end of the show. And you can follow us. Yeah, huge main topic. It's called Huge Topic now, not Main Topic.
we just changed that on the fly.
Yeah, just right now.
Used to be called the Main Topic. Now it's called the Huge Topic.
That's how we roll here at the Nerdy Things Podcast. So thank you for following us on all the things, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Nerdy Things Pod, Nerdy Things POD. And thank you for subscribing to us on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and all those other podcatchers. You have iTunes. We have a lot of reviews. Let's get some more reviews. Y'all didn't read a review last week, right?
No, that's your thing. I didn't.
The next one's pretty funny. It's from Alan, your good old buddy Alan. I'm Alan. That's the title of it.
That's how we know it's Alan.
Yeah. So if you want to review,
that's how we know it's Alan at work too, because he walks in and goes, "Hi, I'm Alan," every day.
So yeah, this one's from Alan, and he knows Kevin and Tim, and I really enjoy this fellow, because of what he says here. And if you want your review read on the podcast, go ahead and send us a review on iTunes. That really helps us out a lot. And we are now the #1 search for if you look for nerdy tea. So that's whenever you start searching stuff, because of you guys, because of you looking for our podcast, because of you reviewing it, we're getting up there on the charts and easier for people to look at us and find us. So that's awesome. Thank you guys for all that. I'm Alan. Yeah, I'm the one that seems to come up in various podcasts and is currently known as the spoiler, LOL. Kevin and Tim are a pleasure to work with. Unfortunately, we don't have much free time to discuss nerdy news, but they created an outlet for people with similar interests. Jules is a professional, and I like to share that we have a Steve here at work that also rides the front seat of an Uber. It's true and authentic, and I love that. Wish you guys nothing but success. Thank you, Alan, and thank you for your Patreon subscription as well. That is awesome. Thank you, and keep sending us reviews. If you like us, if you don't like us, do all that. We have a Patreon.
I have several comments on that real quick.
Okay,
Hold
sure.
on.
Yeah, I was just going to roll right through it, but no? Okay, go.
No, first of all, Alan actually says LOL in real life.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll just so you know he's supposed to be funny. Secondly, we absolutely have time to talk about nerdy things, just not with him. We kind of walk away from him because the conversation just keeps going on.
Oh, man.
Land the plane, Alan.
Third of all, before I started this podcast, it was part of my everyday routine to just go to Google and search nerdy tea. So it's a good thing that we come up now under that, because nerdy tea was like a major Google search for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just nerdy tea. He'd also search for like iced tea and decaffeinated tea. So this is good. This will really fill out his day.
Or nerdy V.
No.
Or nerdy H. Yeah.
Huh.
Different stuff.
We should
Anyways.
have a segment on the show called Nerdy Tea, and that's where we like talk about like the juice, like the
You got to have your pinky up and
we talk.
Gentlemen, it's time for some nerdy tea.
Oh, that could be the new nerdy. Since we're changing all the stuff, huge topic.
Huge
in
topic.
Nerdy tea
It's time for nerdy tea.
So if you want to review Red on the podcast, go ahead and do that on iTunes. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdythingspod. Same thing as everything else. You can go ahead and support us financially if you really like us, and you get a whole ton of extra content. There's a whole lot of stuff out there already for you to listen to. If you just have to do $1 a month, and that's pretty cheap. That's not a whole lot. So $1 a month gets you, I think, like maybe 3 times as much content. Just if you're just listening to the podcast, we have a ton of stuff that's up there. Reviews, I think you did.
Yeah, we're always putting up
Transformers
outtakes. We put early access to the podcast. We put early access to a lot of stuff. So I do make a lot of stuff available to everyone, but you get it first if you're a Patreon subscriber. And it's a nice way to keep track of what we're doing, what movies we're watching, what shows we're watching, because we'll kind of throw up reviews there and talk about them, try and get discussion going. So it's a nice little thing.
Yeah, next 2 weeks, actually, I'm going to be on vacation at the beach. So I was thinking about just like recording the sounds of the beach.
Perfect. That'd be nice and
so
relaxing.
Like if you're into relaxing and the beach, your exclusive Patreon subscription will get you like the best, nerdy sounds of the beach.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. He's just
by Nerdy T, which is my rap name.
Tim is going to be building a sandcastle, but instead of using a shovel, he's going to be digging using an old game cartridge. But you'll know that based on the sound alone.
You'll hear the protractor first, too.
Very nice.
Nerdythingspod.com as well. You can find all our stuff there. We post, all the nerdy stuff we're going to talk about here. And we have some people writing some, original content. And that's pretty awesome. Go read and look at all the cool stuff we have on nerdythingspod.com as well.
Perfect.
Booyah.
So we doing it?
Bangarang.
All right, let's get into the nerdy news.
Nerdy news.
At 6 o'clock. Another nice nerdy week this week. I'm very happy with some of the stuff came out. I'm very, very upset with some of the stuff as well, and we'll get into that. But yeah,
I like some of it. I hate some of it. Some of it upsets me. Full range of a nerdy emotions.
I laughed. I cried. I peed quite a bit.
Oh man, the pee was flowing. Yep.
So we are getting closer to Spider-Man.
God.
And
I'm pretty sure we're going to have a Spider-Man podcast. Yeah,
we are.
I thought it already came out.
Spider-Man comes out.
Didn't I see that thing already?
2 weeks, something like that.
Oh God.
But yeah, we're getting so much information about Spider-Man that I know why you feel like it's already come out, because we've already seen the movie twice each based on commercials alone. But we're still getting more information. I don't know what else there is they could uncover, but recently the cast list was released, and we find out that Don Glover is playing the guy who plays Prowler in the comics. So the Prowler is this weird low-level, like, quasi-criminal, sometime weird hero thing that, becomes bigger as time goes on. But not everybody has to be somebody unless they have a plan.
I'm nobody.
Like, are they making a Prowler movie? Is Prowler going to be in this, or is this just a nod? And if it's just a nod, you don't have to leak this 2 weeks before the movie comes out.
You're telling me you're gonna nod first and then do it. It's like, hey,
right,
this is coming. This is coming.
You're telegraphing the nod.
There you go.
A nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat. Like.
Was it already on IMDb though? I mean, that's kind of the definitive.
I don't think it was
source.
No,
anyways,
because everyone's been speculating what Don Glover is going to be playing. Because in all of the commercials, he's standing next to some Woody Harrelson looking character as he fires some sort of weird ray gun.
Some Woody Harrelson.
Go ahead, rewatch it and tell me I'm wrong.
No, I believe you. It's just
And so everyone's like, oh, he's going to play the Shocker. He's going to play the Tinkerer. And no one guessed the Prowler because no one wanted it to be the Prowler.
Nobody cares.
So is the Prowler's real name Aaron Davis? Like, do we know that? Is that
that's in the comics. Okay. Spider-Man meets him in
so he's in the IMDb cast list as Aaron Davis.
Right.
I don't know whether that was before this information
that was now.
leaked,
that was just updated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just as Kevin said it, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I'm not that powerful, but no, this past week when the cast list came out, IMDb, I don't know how it updates. I think it's magic or aliens.
IMDb, magic or aliens, yeah.
Hey, Martin Starr's in this movie. Sweet.
Oh God, you're gonna know everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we already do.
I don't know. I really like the. I think it was the NBA Finals trailer, or it was original content, sort of. It had Tim Duncan in it. That was kind of cool because it wasn't the movie. There was, I think, maybe a scene from the movie that they just, used for the thing. But yeah.
Well, I don't even know that it's a scene from the movie.
Hey guys, spoiler alert: Stan Lee makes an appearance in this movie.
What?
Just throwing that out there.
But the thing is, with the one that was in the basketball, if that's separate from the movie, that's great. They should be doing that. Like, that's something that makes people want to see the movie. It doesn't spoil really anything from the movie, and it's also not something you have to watch. That Alien Covenant, I'm looking at you, that is going to explain things that happen in the movie. It's just a standalone. Perfect. Done. That's what a teaser should be, and not 47 minutes of unique content per 3-minute commercial that we're watching or trailer that we're watching at these movies. But get used to it, because apparently Spider-Man is going to be the lead for Phase 4 of Marvel. It's not going to be Iron Man anymore. So
I read some articles about people wanting Iron Man to die, or somebody has to be sacrificed or something.
Yeah.
So that might be the way they do that. I mean, spoilers, I guess, whatever. I still don't know. It's all speculation, but
there's been a bunch of articles printed recently about which actors won't be returning. I haven't read them because of fear of spoilers, so I don't know how legit that is. But I think if someone wanted it spoiled, they could find it spoiled.
Well, the thing is, what I'm reading into this is that, like, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. have both said that they're kind of trying to stop doing these movies, and they're looking to, their contract is up. And then all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they've both been like, oh no, I'd do these as long as they'll have me. I am fine with that. And that just, to me, that says they're dying, and that they are just trying to put they're trying to come out of this the hero by saying, oh no, I'd keep doing these movies. Oh no, my character is the dead. And then they look like they would keep doing them, and Marvel looks like the bad guy for killing them off.
Kevin's I'm lying voice. Yes, I want to do these movies forever and ever.
I cannot think of a better thing I could do with my time. I'm terrible at lying.
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of mixed, just articles going around. They're saying that somebody needs to die, somebody needs to have this whole change into this whole other thing after Infinity, whatever, the wars and all that, Avengers movies, blah blah blah.
And I agree, but what's going to happen, and I'm calling it now, you can mark down episode 20, Kevin said this, we're going to lose Iron Man. We're probably going to lose Cap in Avengers 3. We're going to get a couple of other movies, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, whatever. And then in Avengers 4, we're going to use the Infinity Stones to bring them back. So it's going to mean nothing.
Are they like the resurrection stones?
They are
from
all
Harry
powerful.
Potter?
If you have all of the Infinity Stones, you control everything. You control time, life, everything. So yes, you can do that.
There's no coming back from that. If they get all the Infinity Stones, like that just ruins.
No, they'll
the
destroy them at the end.
Yeah, something like that. Or this could happen too. They go to like a few more years later, and then they just start to reboot everything. Just a whole new Iron Man. Let's get a whole new Iron Man out there. Let's do another Captain America out there. I think that's what they're gonna do because they reboot everything we don't want. Why? Why not?
They'll just use the Infinity Stones to just rewrite reality, and all of a sudden we get a much younger Iron Man. Yay! And it's a little girl for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you Friends fans out there, do you know what it is? Infinity Stones. Is there anything else it could be? Infinity Stones.
I saw the Friends couch. It was pretty cool. It was smaller than I thought it would be.
Oh, that's cool.
We're going to talk about Venom and Black and Silver, how they're going to be their own standalone movies, because that's what we wanted. My problem here is pick a thing. Either standalone stuff or everything's going to be together. You know what I mean? Like,
pick a thing. Be black or silver.
So they can't, though. Sony has the rights to all of Spider-Man's characters, but they don't necessarily want to put Spider-Man alone in with these guys because they want their own franchise. And Marvel's not necessarily going to work with them on making it canon, and so it's just going to be a jumbled piece of shit. I would rather it be a separate thing like they're doing. If they can have the story cohesive. Like if they sit down and say, okay, we're not going to try to make this a Spider-Man movie. I want a Venom movie. And they have some nods to Spider-Man, even if it's just like they hire a body double to, web swing away and we get the Venom origin story just from Venom's point of view. I'm fine with that. Like I could actually get into that. I think that could work. And same thing with Black and Silver. I think that Black Cat and Silver Sable are a little tougher because a lot of what makes them interesting is their relationship with Peter Parker. But I still think it could work. Like if you do this right, if you take your time and slow the fuck down, Sony, you can make this something good.
Why are we in this like month or two? Well, actually, it's been I think pretty much all 2017 where everybody just wants to say, I'm doing this thing. I'm going to do this.
Because that's what's making money.
I mean, is it? They haven't produced anything yet, though. Nobody's produced anything. They're just saying, we're going to make this thing. And I mean, it's getting headlines. Yeah. And building hype. I don't even know if that's hype. We're just.
No, but also some of it is that if some of these studios are ever looking to be acquired by another studio, saying that they're making all of these things and saying that they have the ability to make a franchise around Spider-Man without Spider-Man, it increases their value because no matter how much work they do on it, even if it's just coming up with a title, that's considered in production and they can sell their studio for millions and millions more or even just look better on paper because of it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But I don't know. I can't wait to see the Venom movie and see Tom Hardy in Venom because I like Tom Hardy and I hope that this works and I hope they do something awesome with Venom because he's potentially an awesome character.
Yeah,
I'm less excited
in some of his stuff.
Yeah. I'm less excited by Black Cat and Silver Sable, but I'll give it a shot if Venom's good.
Sure.
And I hope they really do kill the Aunt May movie because I don't need an Aunt May movie.
Oh man.
Why not?
Why not?
Marissa Tomei.
No.
Yeah.
Aunt
No.
May? That's great.
But I mean, like even Marvel is reaching a little bit. They've released Tom Holland released in the world the fact that apparently Peter Parker was in Iron Man 2, which is quite a bit of retconning as far as I'm concerned. But apparently there was a fan theory that the little kid on the scene of the battle at the end of the movie that was wearing the Iron Man mask that stood up to the big bad robot was Peter Parker for some fucking reason.
Yeah, because it was like where he...
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, where he like grew up. That was kind of where it was located and all that stuff. And, you know, Tom, he's been saying some stuff like on this whole media road trip that he's been doing promoting this new Spider-Man movie. Apparently he's been like leaking some stuff. Like he's been saying some stuff. He's like, yeah, sure. We're going to do that. And you know, I guess it's because he's young or they didn't really give him a whole like, hey, you can't say this or anything. Or maybe they're just doing it on purpose. They're just letting him talk and say whatever to bring more hype. I think that's more of what it is. It's just like, hey, yeah, let's do it. We want this movie to be the best Spider-Man there ever was. Apparently there's some critics that say it is very good already because they saw it.
The media embargo has been lifted.
Yeah, I saw it too. It was all right.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, me too. We all saw it.
It was okay.
No,
I will say, the idea of that kid being Spider-Man is way cooler than video clips of Tom Holland failing to do flips in his backyard or whatever montage that was.
That was interesting.
That was so contrived and stupid. Like, come on, dude.
That? I want to know who made
Trying
that.
too hard. I already don't like him. Like, he's not even a star yet, and I already don't like him.
But he's going to be everywhere now. He's going to be everywhere for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I know, which is just going to piss me off. I'm going to have, you guys don't know yet. Sometimes I do get vendettas against people. I'm going to have I already know it. I'm going to have a Tom Holland vendetta. And you guys are going to have to deal with this the rest of the time we do this podcast. It's going to suck.
Tim, I apologize if I've ever bullied you.
No, Kevin, we're
good.
fine.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't on the list.
Not you and me. It's mostly famous people.
Like,
just come on, get over yourself,
and
dude.
Alan, probably.
Yeah.
I think.
No, there's some other people. They know who they are too.
So that's our Spider-Man segment for the week.
Yep.
That's the podcast. No. That's all the stuff. There's a ton of Spider-Man stuff. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to do a podcast about Spider-Man. And I'll just go watch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and we'll talk.
Nope, not happening.
That's if we get 10 patrons. If we get 10 patrons, we'll watch Spider-Man 3. Yes. Oh, can we do that? Oh, that's a good one.
All right, but then
is that the one with Lowell from Wings?
yes, it is.
That's that sweet montage where he dances in all black with the emo hair.
No,
that
wasn't funny.
That
wasn't good.
Raindrops keep falling.
It wasn't
on my head.
funny, but it was an experience, and I'm ready for that again.
You know what's funny though? You know what's too funny?
What?
The Han Solo standalone movie. I heard it was too funny for Disney.
I heard that.
That's what I heard on the word on the street.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a lot of stuff going back and forth this week about why these directors left and whose fault was it. It was quite a bit of back and forth. I don't really know where I stand on this right now.
No, I think I want to wait for the movie to come out and kind of look back on this rather than try to suss it out while it's happening, because it's just it's a whirlwind of shit. Everyone's pointing the finger at everybody else. And we don't know what the movie looked like or is going to look like. And I don't care. You know, Ron Howard stepped in to finish directing. I think he'll be fine. He said that a lot of their footage is completely usable, which I don't even know what to make of that statement.
Yeah. If you have to say that, I don't know.
Yeah. What are you hiding? What wasn't usable?
So the interesting thing to me, there's a couple of theories. Part of it makes Disney look like the bad guy and essentially say that they're too structured and they're too rigid and that they want things done a certain way on a certain schedule that's unrealistic. And then there's this other side that I don't know if it makes the other guys, I forget their names now. I don't know if it makes them look like bad guys per se, but essentially saying that they weren't ready for this level of production. That none of their movies were this good, that they couldn't handle the multiple sets, they couldn't handle the management, not even that they were bad directors, but that they couldn't handle the management of the behind-the-scenes staff that it takes to do a movie of this scale, and that they were too improvisational. And that on a movie of this size with a release schedule like they have, you can't be as improvisational. And that Disney felt maybe it was going in the wrong direction. So then they kind of forced them to say, hey, go ahead and improvise, but can you also like do a couple of takes with the script lines too? Maybe we'll use that. I mean, they were obviously preparing for this for a while to say, all right, let's get some scripted takes, because if we get another director in, he can use those if that's what's better. But it's interesting to me that it is possible that maybe this relationship didn't work just because these guys are talented directors. Maybe they were making a good movie, but that they didn't have control over the whole production process. They're just not at that level.
Disney hired them, and I think Disney should know what they do and what they're capable of before hiring them and giving them a movie as big as this. This is not only a flagship movie for them because it's Han Solo, one of the biggest characters in Star Wars. It's a character who we know a lot of his story already, and it's a prequel, so we know where it ends. And we know his character. It can't be too funny. If this movie is too funny, I'm glad Disney stepped in, but they shouldn't have hired comedy directors to direct a movie that's about a smuggler who breaks up a slavery ring and then goes to a bar to pick up an old man.
Yeah, when I think, Han Solo, I think charming, I guess, not super funny. I don't know what kind of thing that was like.
Right. Wry is a better description. Like he's
yeah.
Well, because Harrison Ford is naturally funny. So I think people think of but not in like the traditional way, like exactly how you guys are describing it. But I think when people think of Han Solo, they think funny because they think Harrison Ford. They're like, oh yeah, he's a funny guy. He says stuff and it comes across funny. So I think that's what people think kind of when they think of Han Solo for that reason.
Lord and Miller, the directors, they had also talked to DC about doing The Flash because they're looking for their 6th director for The Flash. So DC needs someone to direct The Flash. This is a movie we need to be funny because Barry Allen is arguably pretty funny guy. And this is something we don't know where it ends. So they can have free reign because DC has already proven that they don't have a plan. And so they can do whatever they want, even if it contradicts the other things, even if we never see the scene of Barry Allen traveling back in time to warn Bruce Wayne, but it's only in a dream, so it doesn't really matter. And then it was a dream within a dream because he sees the future.
Do they count as the 6th director or the 6th and 7th director? Like when you do a directing team, are you one director divided into 2 people, or are you 2 directors? How does that work?
I think they're each a half director, so they would be together. They're the 6th, but it's by their powers combined.
I don't know that they'd appreciate that, Kevin, but I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, when they listen to this, it's gonna be kind of weird. But
dude, you're only half a director.
Sorry.
Get away from me.
So wait, are we all hosts, or are we just 1/3?
We're a third of a host.
We're a third of a host.
Really, if we were each 2/3 better, we could carry this alone. We could be single host podcasters.
Well, we can't.
We might be a quarter of a host each, and we might be a quarter short. It's very possible.
We'll talk about that later. But so I think what this means let's do some math here. We're already starting to do that a little bit, but let's do some math. So DC wants to put out 3 to 4 movies a year. I think that means they're going to need between 6 and 8 directors each movie. In order to get it done.
Guys, I got a shot at this.
Yeah.
I might land one of these.
That's a little crazy. We were talking about it just a minute ago. All of these people who are like, oh, we're going to do all of these great things. And DC still, Wonder Woman's great, but it still needs to find that stride and
Wonder
sort
Woman
of
did really
get
good,
into
and then they're like 3 movies a year. Yes,
yay!
We're gonna do it.
Look at us.
I think
we're the
they're looking
best.
at the numbers game. They're like, we've released 4 movies, 5 movies at this point. One of them was good. So if we do 4 a year, every other year, we'll at least get 1 good movie.
There you go. We'll make our money back on that.
Works, right?
Yes, that's exactly what they're hoping.
Oh, God.
And they're not wrong. I mean, Ridley Scott's done the same thing. He had Alien, that was pretty good. Aliens was decent, and then they had a couple of crap ones which were not, because I know the first one was Ridley Scott and the others weren't. And then he came back for Prometheus and for Covenant, and I'm thinking he's trying to get that next one because he's got Blade Runner, coming up, and we're hoping that's going to be great. And I'm not sure who's directing that, but Ridley Scott wants to do what he did to Blade Runner, or what he did to Alien to Blade Runner, and ruin the shit out of it. I'm pretty sure it's a direct quote. Ruin the shit out of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's British. He's British, right? I'd like to ruin the shit out of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what I've done with Aliens, I'd like to do with Blade Runner. Ruin the shit out of it.
What? I don't know what does he think? What is he thinking? Like, I want to get inside of his head and see what's going on. Like, I don't know. What's his direction?
Who's on board?
What? Yeah.
He wants money.
I know that, but like, that's not the way to. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he is actually directly quoted as saying that when he made Alien, in those days, he wasn't into making sequels. And now you suddenly realize, well, that's stupid. It's like, well, yeah, because you saw the money. There's money, and now you know you can make the money. Also, you're like, I don't know, I think his birthday was the other day, so 117 years old. And so he's looking at death, and he's saying, well, if I had $70 million more, I could... I don't know. What does a 117-year-old man need with money?
Keep himself alive?
Yeah. Right? The blood of the young.
Doctors, medicine, machines.
Some sort of freezer, maybe.
Yes. It's just one head size.
Yeah.
Guys, this movie's going to be good, though. It's going to be. Blade Runner 2049 is going to be good.
I'm looking forward to it.
It looks
I'm
interesting.
putting it out there. I'm throwing my reputation on the line. It's happening. The guy who is directing this movie, because you asked that, is French-Canadian, so I'm not going to do his accent or pronounce his name.
Thank you.
But he's the guy who did Arrival. Kevin, we agree Arrival was awesome,
Fantastic,
right?
yes.
Absolutely awesome. So boom, there we go, coming off Arrival. Ryan Gosling, awesome. Robin Wright, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto, awesome. Dave Bautista, awesome. Morgan from The Walking Dead, awesome. I mean, this is a sure thing.
My problem is the story. I hope the story is good, because they fuck it up every time. They get great actors, they get great visuals. I don't remember a movie recently that I walked out of that I was like, everything about this was really good. The visuals were good, the acting was good, and the scripting was good. It's usually a 2 out of 3.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Great. No, you're right. That was the last one.
There we go.
So I'm hoping I'm hoping we get that with this. That I'd be very happy with that.
Writers, Michael Green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he did Alien Covenant. That doesn't bode well.
No, but look at what else he's done.
He did Logan.
Right.
That's good.
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh, he did the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. Not good.
So he's hit or miss.
Heroes.
He's hit or miss.
So wait, what year did Heroes start? Hold on. We got to make a judgment call on this one. Heroes started in 2006. Yep, season 1 writer of Heroes. That's good.
Good. See, so it's up and down. So we're on an upswing. He was a writer of
Jack and Bobby, which was a one season TV show that I absolutely loved. Yeah, he's on the up. He's on the up because he did Alien. So Logan, Alien, this one. Boom. Yes, we're on the every other. This is going to be good. Guaranteed. Sorry, guys. I figured out, we're talking about math. I figured out the pattern.
There you go.
This is going to be good.
It's too much math in this episode. Why? Did y'all change when I left?
I love math. Math is great. Math.
1 + 1 is... All right, fine. Don't play.
Pitch Perfect 3 trailer.
School of Rock is such a good movie.
1 + 1
it's
is
about
Pitch
music.
Perfect 3.
There you go.
Yeah, which another movie about music. Pitch Perfect 3.
Oh God.
Yeah. Tim, thoughts on this? Because I know this is up your alley.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Like I was really excited for this movie, and I still think I am. But then I saw this trailer, and I'm like, wow. Okay. I don't know, dude. They go over and like compete against other bands in the USO. I don't know,
yes.
dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
what
I
I've been
hope it's
waiting
funny.
for.
The one thing I'll say about this, here's the one thing about the premise that I really like. If you think about this from a real life standpoint, so these are, well, they're actually in their 30s, but these are college girls who just went through college. They're millennials. They did and achieved amazing things for a very specific action in college, but now they're in the real world. And we know what happens when millennials get out of college these days.
Yeah.
Jobs aren't there. You know, the degree doesn't mean what you thought it did. So, but contrast that now with the fact that these people were super successful with something that doesn't translate into the real world.
Yep.
And that is like a real big high to come down off onto. So this is kind of like a real world story for a lot of people right now. I don't know if the rest of it will measure up to that, but the start of the premise is kind of actually very applicable to young people in this day and age. So that's cool.
Cool.
And John Lithgow's in it. That's awesome. So
no, I know. And this is another one where the cast is pretty good. I you know, you got Rebel Wilson, you got what's her face, you got the other people,
the other girl.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
The other one.
You got my back. I appreciate that. But no, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fine. I can't wait to see it. I will see it in the theaters. This passes my threshold of awesome. So that's cool.
Yep.
So speaking of,
I'm on board.
You said millennials earlier. Are we going to talk about how y'all are exennials now? Is that how to pronounce it? Exennials?
Yeah, I'm so excited
really
about
it.
it.
Oh, God.
No, I'm sure exennials like xylophone.
This is what you wanted?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Tim identifies with this so much. Yes.
So for everybody that didn't hear, hold on. Let me explain it to everybody that doesn't.
Go ahead.
Exennials are in between the Generation X generation and the millennials, because millennials was about 85 or so, like the year that you were born, 85 and over. That you're considered a millennial. Generation X was a little bit longer ago, but then there was this whole middle ground of a generation between, I think it was 77 through 83 or 84 or something like that. In between that little area, there was a whole generation of people, kids that grew up, and they're totally different than the Generation X. They're in the middle of the millennial and all that stuff. So they needed, I guess they needed a name. People wanted a name for them. So they're called Exennials, combining Generation X and the name millennials. And that's what I'm assuming Kevin and Tim are, Exennials now.
I guess.
Jules, you're a musician, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Is it xylophone?
I didn't think about it because I didn't put that much thought into it.
I'm pretty sure it's Zennials.
Zennials.
Makes sense to me.
You know,
I'm pretty sure.
Well, whenever they put a little X on Latinos or Latinas, Latinx, you say Latinx. So I thought it was just Exennials. You know how like whenever they use the broad term, instead of saying Latino, Latina, you just put an X at the end, Latinx. That's a millennial thing. We all want to be, included. So whatever. But Zennials, is that what you're saying? That's how you're pronouncing
That's
it?
what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with.
We're calling it now. It's Zennials.
Zennials.
Yeah, basically no one's had the opportunity to definitively say, so the nerdy boys are definitively saying it's Zennials.
All right.
So I totally identify this because we talked about it on the podcast last week. I think I actually said it. By some studies, I'm like the oldest millennial alive. Some people say that, in some people born in 82 actually qualify as millennials. And I am a great millennial sympathizer. I think they've gotten a raw deal, but I don't necessarily identify with that generation. And I certainly don't identify with Generation X either. So this idea makes perfect sense to me because it's very rare that a generation of people or a small age group of people have grown up in a weird transition like this, where I guess the best way to boil it down is we went from analog to digital. We grew up analog and became digital as adults, whereas the people who came before us kind of like caught up to being digital, and you were just born into the digital age. Like we had VCRs and we had, handwriting, and we had, using pens in school, and you didn't learn cursive and learned to type just at your home. I took a typing class. There's all these different things, but I totally identify with certain aspects of both generations, and this just makes me feel so good about myself.
Well, I'm glad you feel included with this whole Zennials thing now.
I think it's going to make my future brighter because now I have a place to belong, which is the millennial side of me,
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, the breakthroughs here. Breakthroughs here on the Nerdy Things Podcast, episode 20. And all 20 would be what's the generation after millennials? The douches with the fidget spinners. What are those?
The douches.
The little.
Those are still millennials.
Those kids still are fuck me.
Congratulations.
They're not called the douches.
You are now old, Jules. This is the line.
The old millennial.
Today marks the day.
Oh God.
See, Kevin is a couple years older than me, and his reaction to this
He's
tells
closer to
you
a Gen
that
X.
he is closer to Gen X and I'm closer to millennial. This has
Oh,
this has it
okay.
written all over it. I'm telling you.
Dang, I feel it now. All right.
Bullshit. So the last thing I want to talk about in the news is, and I've been holding off on this, the Rufio movie.
Short film. Oh God.
Oh, yeah.
That came out.
So that was released.
Yeah.
Yep, they released that on YouTube after raising $69,000 on Kickstarter to get this done by the actor who played Rufio originally. Was he in this? Was he in this short? Was he the?
Yeah, he plays the dad,
the
kid,
well,
or the counselor.
The counselor, yeah, not the dad.
Yeah.
I'm so confused by this short movie. I have so many questions. You both watched it, right?
I watched the first 4 minutes and my phone crashed. So
I cannot get past. Yeah, oh God. I'm so sorry for anybody that, backed this. It's just not shot well. I mean,
no. Like, this is the type of thing I would do on an iPhone with like 3 kids I picked up at the playground because I'm the creepy guy in the unmarked white van.
Why do they need so much money if they're just going to film it on an iPhone 7? Like, what's that
filmed
about?
entirely on iPhone 7.
Right? I'm sure. That's probably at the end. I just didn't see it all the way through.
So, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched it. If you don't want this 17-minute short movie that cost way too much spoiled for you, stop listening now and come back. But I'm unclear why they start off with real metal swords and then those swords and everything disappear. I get that it was supposed to be their imagination, but if that's true, why were they still on a playground and not actually on a boat in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah. Because
your imagination can only take you so far, and then you need to go to Neverland for the rest.
And then you need like $20,000 more, yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. Like, I also get that, but there are storytelling ways in this to tell us this, to show us that fact.
Guys, who's in charge of this?
Nobody, and that's the problem.
No, first of all, let us not allow this to sully Hook. Let's not make the two related.
No,
because the Oscar winners who were involved in making Hook great were not involved in this.
No,
it was the guy who played Rufio.
I understand.
Who's played exactly nothing since. Who isn't a director, a writer, or an actor, really.
He's the voiceover in Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is
okay. Cool.
And Tim,
so
don't get me wrong. This doesn't sully Hook.
Expect?
I don't conflate this with Hook. I don't think that this has really anything to do with Hook. I do think this is weird. This is because really, you've got this kid who his name is Rufus, and his mother is being deported, and he's surprisingly cool with going into foster care.
Well, it's better than going back to Rufus Land. I don't know where he comes from, but Rufus Land is apparently a terrible place.
And then there's
foster care is better than Rufus Land.
There's a bully that keeps bullying him but doesn't actually do anything to him, and then he is convinced he can fly for no reason.
Yeah,
and he convinces the bully that he's gonna
I thought I could fly when I was a kid.
And that's fine, but he convinces his friends he can fly too, and bets the fact that this bully is going to murder him on the fact that he can fly. And then he cuts his hair awkwardly, spray paints it, and then jumps off the playground and doesn't fly. And then as he's walking away, he lifts off and the bully kneels to him and gives him his leather jacket.
I didn't get that far in the movie. That's pretty stupid.
It is. It's dumb. And then he goes back home and his mom is like, hey, the woman from the foster home is here to take you away. And when she goes back to his room, he's gone. And she's looking up in the sky like he flew away. Okay, you wouldn't look at the ground because he's running away because he's a child and you don't know he can fly because he can't because he's a child? I don't know.
Yeah, I read a lot of comments and stuff. There's a lot of, people talking about how this doesn't really answer a whole lot of. I mean, it does really answer the hard, how did he get his hair? How did he get this look? How did whatever, so and so, and all that stuff.
So it answers the questions no one cares
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Nobody who was asking these questions, like whatever. Who wanted this? Who asked for this? Apparently, there's a ton of people that backed it.
The
of
kid
course,
who played
but-
Rufio.
Yeah,
And the weirdest part of all of this, despite everything, there's two things that stood out to me. So as he's gone, and his mother's leaning out the window, and she's screaming, "Rufy!" If you'd had first off, she's telling someone to, whatever. But if she had then looked up and saw him and said, "Oh," it would have been a really awkward and awful way to work Rufio into the story.
Uh-huh.
But I would have gone with it. Like, I would have had more respect for you if you just grabbed that and ran with it instead of.
But isn't it crazy that when you just said Rufy, my natural reaction in my head was to go, "Oh,
Right?
Hey." Right?
But like there's that, and then there's also that one of the kids on the playground kept singing "I Believe I Can Fly." All right, and that is so when did Hook come out, Tim? Do you know?
92, I believe.
91. I Believe I Can Fly was released in 96.
I believe I can fly.
So when the hell is Rufio from?
I can touch the sky. Well before that, clearly.
And so why did they know the song? And why were they singing? Did that kid grow up to be R. Kelly? Is that what they're getting at?
That's his original tune, yeah.
I think that's what
Dude,
we're getting
origin
at.
story. That's a double origin story.
Wow. But yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
It wasn't good. I didn't like it. I wish people could get their money back on it, and I'm glad I didn't back it.
It's interesting, as you were going through that story, I was relating. I'm like, oh, then this got stupid. Because like I used to have a Superman cape that I used to run like as fast as I could and look behind me to see if it was like flowing.
Sure.
Because I thought I could
Absolutely.
fly. And you know me, Kevin. You know that 7-year-old me could convince some kids that I could fly. Like, I could do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I know.
Wow.
But I couldn't, so the rest of it's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
But I also never met Tinkerbell, so
I just
Right.
couldn't. I don't know. It was not shot straight from the beginning. It was just poorly done. I was like, my music video that I shot the other week with my band was 10 times better shot, and I was like, holy crap. And that one got like fucking Bangarang got a ton of money, people backed it and shit. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for all these
humble
people.
brag.
Oh well, I was just that was on my head. I was just like, holy crap, this sucks. Jesus. Yeah, that was just bad. I couldn't get through it. If you want, if you like it, or if you have some thoughts, some feelings about it, go ahead and tweet us at NerdyThingsPod on Twitter, and we'll talk about it, and we'll let you know if your opinion's right, because this was a short film. Yeah, I guess. I just want to touch on one thing, the whole IGN thing, because that really got me mad, and I'll put it into context for a
go ahead.
podcast right now.
Explain it to us.
I'll explain it to you, sure. So IGN is a company, huge company that they did gaming and reviews and a bunch of stuff, and now they do like movies and all that. So it's a big entertainment company that does YouTube videos and all this stuff, and reviews, and has a bunch of blog posts and all that stuff. So they have a ton of videos posted on their YouTube like every day, like 10 to 20 videos a day or whatever. So during E3, they did this whole recap with this dude called Rory Powers. At Rory Has Powers on Twitter. So this kid, I think he's English or something, but he made this video about his time at E3. Now, I'm a big fan, or I was a fan of SourceFed when it was, headed by Philip DeFranco. We talked about it a long time ago, but then I was a fan of Steven Suptic, and I watch his YouTube videos. Steven Suptic is a content creator. He's vastly smaller than IGN. IGN has like 10,000 YouTube subscribers and a bunch of followers and all that stuff. Steven Suptic has almost 1 million, so he's still considered a small-time content creator. But this kid, Rory Powers, completely lifted Steven Suptic's style for his main channel, for this IGN video. It's the same same style that he does, not even like parodying it. It's almost like a Steven Suptic video exactly. The way he does the camera, the yellow subtitles, the freeze frame, the black and white freeze frame with commentary over it. And his voice is very similar to Suptic's, and I thought it was a Suptic video when I first saw it. And it sparked this whole thing where a lot of people were like, hey, did you do a collaboration with them? And he's like, no, what the fuck is this? I mean, he wasn't too mad about it. He was joking about it on his Twitter, but they ripped off his style for a huge corporation. And they're kind of saying that he referenced Arrested Development and not so much. They're not even acknowledging that it was a ripoff of Steven Suptic's stuff. They could have been like, hey, Rory likes your stuff, or Rory could have said that, hey, this was kind of like a tribute to you and your style, but these are almost identical in the way they do, or Steven does videos. And the thing is, it's like, cool, if he's never seen Steven before, if you've never seen a Steven YouTube video, sure, cool, maybe it's a coincidence. It was very close, it was too close to be considered a coincidence. But Rory follows him on Twitter. Rory actively watches this dude's videos. That's like William, one of our biggest fans, William, working for a huge company out of nowhere that we didn't know about, and him doing like the same intro as us, getting 3 guys together to make a nerdy news segment and all that stuff. That, like, what is that?
You're calling it the huge topic.
Yeah, the huge topic or something like that. It's ridiculous. And it looks like IGN's probably going to get away with this, and they've done it before. They've ripped off Justine with her Zero Gravity with the Nintendo Switch. She put out a video about 3 months ago, and then a month after that, IGN put a very similar video. And I mean, I don't know.
Did they rip off iCarly too?
But
IGN,
it's a whole thing. It's
Justine. It even sounds similar.
Yeah.
Tim.
Kevin. I nerdy things podcast. But what does that say about small time content creators? Like, do we not have the voice anymore to do anything? Because IGN's probably going to get away with this. They're probably going to do it again. Some other small time content creators have said that IGN's ripped us off before. Like, what does that mean for like us, like as a small, I guess not really a business, but Steven does make money off his YouTube channel, and they can just pull, big companies can just pull from these smaller creators and just say like, oh, it's just a parody off something else, and that's
right. So how do you defend against that? Do you stop creating new things?
Exactly.
I think that's what I'm up. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to stop. We're done. Goodbye, guys. Thank you.
I'm not saying that it's right, but this kind of stuff has been happening not just in the creative world, but in the business world for centuries, where somebody who's big looks at an idea that somebody small has and just takes it, and it's tough to get recourse against it, but it's been happening for centuries.
Yeah, that's just something that happened this week that really was interesting, and you can visually see it, happening. I'm sure it's happened with like people that develop apps and all that stuff, taking certain styles and all that. But
you're right, and to a point, there are a finite number of permutations of these elements. Sure. The text, color, the this, the that. But from what you're describing, I haven't seen this because I tried Googling it, but I couldn't come up with the right thing to look into this.
Yeah.
But it does sound like they ripped off something. And that isn't right. There should be some backlash, but this is also going to bring more attention to the original guy. So there is some trade-off, and it's not right, but there is a trade-off for that because any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, originally...
there was I think it was German, a book about a boy wizard that supposedly J.K. Rowling ripped off.
Oh.
I think there's not enough similarities, so I think that she got away with saying that she had not heard of it, and it's entirely possible. But, there's always this kind of thing out there. That's, hey, there's something really similar to it. I mean, it happens in music a lot where it's really tough to come up with something new. You know what I mean? Now like I said, they may have ripped this person off, and it does sound like that in this case, but it's a tough thing to prove. There's a lot of gray area, and it's just when it comes to big versus small, the big guy versus the small guy, the big girl versus the small girl, this kind of stuff is unfortunately difficult to stop. Really difficult to stop.
Yep.
Money versus no money.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
So yeah, just wanted to talk about that and make everybody aware that that's happening, and I'm sure we'll let you know if something happens. Steven Suptic opted to have Rory Powers over to a warehouse and they do an obstacle course because it would be super funny. And that he would get content out of it and he would just kind of blow it over. But even that, IGN's like sticking to their guns and like, no. But whatever.
Now that's a dick move.
Yeah,
he was like, go on this guy's thing.
Yeah, he was like, I already rented the warehouse $400. Like, you already said yes, but now you're saying no. Like, let's just do an obstacle course. It'd be funny.
That's a dick move.
Actually, the best way to do it, probably just a playground fight.
There you go.
Just say, hey, dude, I'm going to the playground later on. Meet me there. And if he doesn't show, everybody knows they're a coward. And
that's how Kevin and Tim settle stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can film it on an iPhone 7. Show up, bring swords, wear a leather jacket, and spray paint your hair.
All right, that's enough nerdy news.
All
now
right.
to the
huge topic.
Huge
Ready?
topic.
It's time for the huge topic.
The huge topic.
It's huge.
All right. So this week we went through our emails. We looked at what William had suggested, and we took one of his ideas and tweaked it a little bit. We're going to talk about video games versus board games.
And you can send us emails at nerdythingspod@gmail.com, but if you want us to read them, become a patron on our Patreon. That's how we read them. We
don't read unless we're paid.
Yeah, there you go. Because we have to get paid.
Our time is too valuable. Reading is too difficult for us.
Sorry.
We need money to put forth that effort.
You heard us do math earlier. It wasn't good. It wasn't.
No, I actually have to just hand it to my wife and be like, honey, what does this say?
Are we making fun of illiterate people? Is this really insensitive?
No, we're making fun of me.
That's the millennial in you
good.
talking. Jeez. You turned really millennial
See?
this episode.
That's what I'm talking about.
Jesus. Okay. What are we doing?
That's what I'm talking
The
about.
huge topic: video games versus board games. Right? That's what it is. Okay.
That's what. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're on board.
I can read.
No, because I feel like board games are becoming more of a specialty, more of a niche item than they were when we were growing up. Even you young millennial, I feel like there were more board games in people's homes than there are now. And it was more classic games. Everyone had at least 2 copies of Monopoly. Everyone had, most people had Risk. And nowadays, I feel like a lot of times the only board games you find in homes are in nerds' homes, where you find Settlers of Catan and a couple of others like that. But you don't have a lot of real board games. But also, you have a huge rise in video game consoles. They're more accessible. There's a million different games for them. Some of them are even based on board games. And so there's been a shift away from the family-oriented board game night into video game. And I think that that's interesting. I think that's a nice, weird, bad, awful, awesome look at the world. That's where we are now.
Yeah, because people want to do what's the least amount of work, and what is the least amount of work? Just plopping down in front of the TV and starting up your console. Because I tried recently. I mean, I played a bunch of board games when I was in college with a bunch of friends and all that stuff. But recently, I was like trying to get together a group to play some random board game, whatever you wanted to play. I just wanted to sit at a table and have some conversation and play a board game. How hard is that to get people together because everybody's like, well, I got to do this thing. I can't really block out an hour or two, everybody's, schedules are different, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, that's why we don't do it
it's hard
anymore.
for you millennials, but us that are closer to the Gen X age, we actually do get together and do stuff. We try to.
Well, but rarely, Tim, because Matt has been trying to invite us up to his house for 3 years now. And that hasn't happened. And every time I'm like,
Matt's got kids, though.
hey, we should get together and do, a board game or something like that, I get shot down every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of agree. Like, I think the easiest is the best. And I think with a lot of games that are out there now, because really, if I said to you, hey, you guys, you want to come over to my house? We can play Monopoly. Are you going to jump at that? Are you like, oh my God, Monopoly's my jam? No.
No, but Monopoly's like always been a difficult game.
Yeah,
But
whose
okay.
jam is Monopoly, really?
Bankers. But seriously, you say Monopoly's hard, and it's yes and no. Monopoly's involved, but it's not tough. It doesn't have a lot of weird rules. It's very straightforward. It is. It's very time consuming. It's like a 2-hour game minimum, unless someone's a jerk.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of the games that I'm seeing out there now are even more involved and even more difficult, and honestly, often shorter to play. But the rules, there's like books, novels, like huge phone book size things that you have to be aware of before you can play these games. And I think it's a huge investment. And I think that when you're trying to get someone who hasn't played that game into that game to play it, because games are becoming more and more complicated because of those niche players that like that I think it's so much tougher. It's a gate that's keeping people out from this type of thing, because any new game that comes out now isn't super simple. And I regret that. Like, I think it should be.
So I look at it this way. I will say to a degree, Kevin, I agree with you in that in the 60s, 70s, and even when we were kids into the 80s, like board game night, like when families got together for Thanksgiving or whatever, or just having people over to play board games was a much bigger thing. And I think that's partially because video games really didn't exist or were like incredibly
expensive.
Specific to who, incredibly specific to who could play it or who did play it. But even the casual sports fan was not a big thing. Like if you were a baseball fan, you were a baseball fan. If you were a football fan, you were a football fan. But there wasn't people playing fantasy sports that just watched football. You know what I mean? Like arenas weren't selling out every game every week. It wasn't like that in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So you had people who didn't have interest in these other things that now occupy most of our time, or diversion. Video games, sports, and going to the movies. People didn't go to the movies as much or in the same way that they do now. So this is what they occupied their time with. And I think adults had more parties back then, like especially in the 70s. Maybe it's just the way
did.
Movies and you know what I mean? Seriously though, but like no, if you maybe it's just the way movies or even TV shows portray that, but like that was a bigger thing back then, and I think it's because we live busier lives. So I do think for a long time board games kind of went away, but I will say over the last 10 years, I have personally noticed a resurgence of people who I know who play board games, and I'm not talking about just board game people like Settlers of Catan. Like I don't know if we count. What was that card game we were talking about yesterday, Kev? Cards Against Humanity, Pandemic, things like I know people who play these games and sometimes have weekly games that they get people in on. And I think it's making a comeback. So I think, is it as big as it was in its heyday? Absolutely not even close, but because there's so many more things competing for our time. But I do think board games over the last 10 years, or games in general, are making a really big comeback, at least in my anecdotal experience. I know lots of people who are buying for the first time or, getting back into playing or having regular nights where they have people over for stuff like that.
Yeah, there's been a huge resurgence in those like card games that I guess would be considered board games, because you kind of just come with a bunch of friends and just be in a room and play these sort of physical card games. And that's been going on, and there's been a ton more that have been made recently, because I think those are the easiest to play, to pick up and play and do all that stuff. But yes, there's been a resurgence, and we didn't really touch on it, but there's been a resurgence in vinyl records and cassettes and all that stuff. I'm seeing all of that firsthand because I do hang out with, a little bit younger, around my age people, and they're all buying these card games. They're all buying. I bought vinyl. I bought like 6 vinyl last week in LA. Like that's a thing. Vinyl records are at their peak from the longest time that they've been at for sales.
I just saw that
stuff.
they were releasing a David Bowie record for Labyrinth and a Sonic the Hedgehog vinyl record.
Yeah, it's
What?
huge. It's crazy, and cassettes too. People that are indie or quote unquote hipster, they do these cassette releases. I was actually I've been invited to I don't know how many cassette releases last year. There's a ton. I don't own a cassette player, but apparently everybody else does. So this is a thing that's kind of this retro that's fitting into board games coming back and all that stuff. We're trying to bring them back, and I think board games still have a way to go, and vinyl records are still growing and at sort of its peak. But board games, as far as that stuff, I think there's still some stuff to grow and get out of a board game, because I don't know how many Monopolies y'all own, but I do own like one or two, and they just keep pumping them out, and it's great.
Yeah, I own a few Monopolies as well. And, I'm telling you, every time I go to Target, my wife loves board games, and we don't play as many as she'd like, just because, again, it's sometimes it's hard to get people together.
Don't worry about it.
Every time we go to Target, and if I look at the adult bay for board game sections, there's stuff that's sold out. I mean, Obama Llama is this card game that it's only at Target, and I finally got it from away for Christmas because we kept going and it was sold out and blah blah blah, and so I got it for her. But stuff like I'm not a board game nerd, so I would consider a card game a board game, or a dice game a board game, and maybe I'm not being part of the club by saying that. But if you sit down and play a game that's analog and interactive in that nature, to me, that's a board game. You know what I mean? It's a game night kind of thing. So Yahtzee and all. I mean, that's my family tradition. We play Yahtzee. Thanksgiving, when we go to the Cape for the week, we play Yahtzee every couple nights. Uno Attack has become a big one, because we used to play Uno when I was kids. And have you seen this game, Uno Attack? It's awesome.
Yeah.
So Uno Attack is Uno, but there's like this card shooter, and there's certain cards that like you have to press the button once or twice, and it's so dramatic. Like you can come from the bottom to the top or vice versa so quickly, and I'm telling you, like once somebody has to push that button, like the tension that everybody's like, oh, let's see what happens. And you push it, nothing comes out, or you push it, like 7 things come out. It's really, really funny, and there's new cards. So there's all kinds of creative stuff like that, and I really do feel like we'll never see board games be what they were when our parents were growing up. But I do think that, especially for adults, they're making a big comeback right now.
Would Hungry Hippos be considered a board game? And like those other little games, like
technically,
because I had all those when I was a kid. Yeah, Mousetrap.
Mousetrap was amazing, and apparently there's an electronic version of it that is not amazing.
It's horrible. Yeah, I saw a gameplay of it. It's stupid.
I don't know why you'd ever play electronic Mousetrap. The whole like fun of that thing is putting that thing together and watching it fail.
It failed every time.
Yes, it never worked. You're not on a level surface. The pieces are bent. Like the mouse never goes in the trap. But that was the fun of it.
Originally, what William proposed us talk about is the conversion of board games into digital video games, and that's been a whole thing. And like y'all were saying, it takes all the fun out of it. Like, what's the point of having I tried playing Monopoly, an iPhone app, with somebody, and it's just boring. Half of the fun is moving the pieces, like you said. Mousetrap, half of the fun, most of the fun for Mousetrap, almost all the fun, I think, is putting the thing together and doing all that stuff. And you just clicking a button to roll the dice, or pressing A to whatever, no interaction at all. That's no fun.
But here's where I think they're missing out with that, though. There is a way to do that and make it work. So, like, playing Monopoly on your app against somebody else, someplace else, that's, I agree, pretty dumb. But, and I've seen this proposed with the Nintendo Switch. There's a chess game. I think it's chess, checkers. I don't even know. It's in Japan. But if you take a tablet or a Switch device or something like that, and you place it flat on a table in between people, and the board game is played in the typical way that a board game is played, just on that board digitally, what that does is it gets you the same interaction level, the same cooperative kind of everybody standing around the board game play that makes those games special, but it saves the time that we talked about of breakdown, setup, storage, all that kind of stuff. Like, let's play Monopoly. We don't need to get the game out and count and sort the builds. It's pre-done for us. We'll be way more likely to do it.
Apple did a whole lot of that when the iPad came out. They did Scrabble, I think, where you can have your iPhones and you have all your pieces on your actual iPhone, and then in the middle was an iPad with a big board. And I think they did it with Monopoly as well. But that's super cool that they still do that, and that is something and a way that you can get it interactive. I want to give a quick shout out to @CynicalElesion because he said Nintendo Switch, and you reminded me. Back during E3, he said he was going to get a Nintendo Switch, and I told him to tweet us a picture when he got it, and he did. He finally got it. I know there's been a lot of people trying to get Switches lately, and he finally got it. So that was a couple weeks ago. So good on you. Whatever. That's super cool, and I think the Nintendo Switch is the way to do that. I think that's the only way to, because iPhones and all that, they kind of drop. Well,
the Switch or an iPad. An iPad works too in that same way.
They stopped marketing.
They need to market it better,
pushing it, and it was super cool when it first came out. They were like, "Oh, you can do all this stuff now with an iPad and blah blah blah." And it's like, "Oh, cool." Now nobody's using it that way, and it's like, well.
But see, this is up. I think this is up to the Settlers of Catan company. To make that iPad version, make it marketable, make it so they can make money off it. You pay for it. People think that just because it's on an iPad, it's got to be free. Screw that, Like, if you want to play Settlers of Catan, you got to pay for it. But I think people would be more likely to play it, and it would be easier to play if you didn't have to get the game out and sort the pieces and put it away and all that kind of stuff every time. Hey, let me bust out my, extra large iPad here, and let's play Settlers of Catan. Boom. Hey, we're playing right now, instantaneously.
What I really like, I see a
it.
lot. When people play Dungeons and Dragons now, they don't have the whole full scape. They just have a big screen or a big TV or an iPad or something in the middle with all the little squares blocked out. And it's super cool. And that's exactly what you're saying. Just have this, digital board that you can change on a whim, and it just be easier for setup and all that cool stuff. So I see that a lot in Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop, I guess, board game. I don't know, but
and that's a pen and paper game, but it falls under what we're talking about. But that is sort of where technology and entertainment work really well together, because you have websites like Roll20 that do that. They take the sort of visual aspect of it and do it really well, where you can have the setting, you can have the grid, you can sort of get into the nitty-gritty of it and show people what you're talking about with it, and that expands that, and it gives people the tools to do that. And so that works too. That's another good way, when people use that right, to meld the two of them. So you've got the old school video game type, you've got the new school electronics and media technology working with it, and I think that's spectacular. And if it costs a little bit to do, great. You're going to spend money anyway. You're supporting something good. I'm on board.
So going back to the original main topic, I guess, main video games versus board games, would you rather play video games for a week at maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day and get your entertainment that way, or have one big game night for a few hours with some friends together in a room? Which would you rather do for a week, or how would you rather spend your week?
I'd rather be with people. I'd rather be get together once a week, whatever it is, and have a board game so you can talk about other things. Mm-hmm. and really connect with people. That's cool. You can't, a lot of people now, a lot of their friends are online, and they have friends that are in Austin, Texas, and they're just south of Boston or just north of Boston. And that's fine. And it works, but it sucks because I'd like to hang out with these people and get a beer,
Yeah. I would say whether it's, and this might be the Gen X side of us, but whether it's video games or board games, I would rather have a couple hours one night a week to play in person with some friends than 20 minutes a time, like whatever that conversion you were talking about was. But playing Mario Kart with my buddies when we were in our 20s and lived in a house together, playing Smash Brothers, that's some of the best times of my life right there, and I don't play
that brought everybody on my floor together in college.
And I don't play Mario Kart online really. It's available, it's there. I don't really do it. It's not as much fun for me. It's the trash talking, the throwing the controllers, the looking at somebody in their face when you beat them or lose to them, Same thing with Smash Brothers. I never once played an online Smash Brothers match on the Wii U. Never once did it, and it's just not the same to me. I would totally, whether it's video games, whether it's board games, I would totally rather have couch co-op than online play. Totally 150%.
And most things are getting away from that couch co-op, and that's what board games do, is bringing people together.
I see a lot of board games at these places that I go to, like to either hookah bars or coffee shops or boba tea places. They do have a bunch of board games, which is pretty cool because a lot of them don't have like a TV or anything like that, and that's okay. Usually if it's a coffee shop, you kind of want to be quiet, but they do have like checkers, chess, and all those other kind of board games. So that's pretty cool that has become a thing where you can just ask, hey, do you have any board games at a random place, and just hang out there where you don't have to purchase these board games. Granted, some stuff might be missing or might be a little tattered because everybody uses them, but still, like whenever you're getting boba tea or something and hanging out with a friend or two, they have these card games or anything, and I've seen that a lot lately, and that's super cool that these smaller businesses are latching onto that and getting people to hang out at their spots, and for it being a friendly space to just collaborate and hang out.
Now I've just got this picture in my mind of you playing Monopoly, and someone's playing the top hat, and someone's playing a pen cap that they found, and someone's got a shoe, but it's not like the little brass shoe, it's like an actual sneaker off their foot.
Yeah, it's a real shoe.
I got this thing where Jules is playing Monopoly with people, and the one guy's the car, and Jules like puts his character on top of the car.
And rides in the front seat.
Yeah.
Rides in the front seat of the car.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's happened a few times, but no, like I would go and play Magic the Gathering and all that stuff. We'd bring our cards and go to boba tea at this place by my college. We would, what else? This hookah bar that I go to here, we just play, we play regular, board games there too, and that's super cool. So yeah, I definitely enjoy an experience with somebody else. That whole technology enhancing this experience is fantastic, and I do wish it was more involved, and people would get more involved in making and creating these advancements to help me have all this stuff. I mean, they have some apps which are kind of cool that help me when I was DMing for a D&D campaign. They helped me get all the numbers right and have it at a glance, which is pretty cool. That enhanced my stuff, but we want more of that. I think as a collective, everybody wants more of helping out this thing that's already made. I want what the Scrabble thing's doing, what Monopoly's doing, and all that stuff. That's super cool. I just want more of it and more options with that.
Scrabble.
So yeah, video games are super cool. I think for me, they're just passive. I use them just to, sort of relax and not be engaged, because it's just something to do, and it keeps my mind like relaxed and chill whenever I'm just, playing a video game, sometimes playing Mario or whatever. Oh, I tried downloading Sonic the Hedgehog, the app, because all the Sonic games are coming or whatever, and I need internet for that apparently. So it wouldn't let me play it on the plane, which I was kind of mad about this week.
Yeah, I do hate that a lot of things require internet to play that shouldn't require internet to play.
Right.
Like I have a Sudoku app on my phone that when I don't have internet, it won't let me play. And it's like, you're Sudoku. Like there's a billion of you out there. And also I could just do the same one over and over. I'm not going to know. Don't do this to me.
I'm not going to remember.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like I went with your competitor. I've beat it 6 times, and that's 300 games I've played because they only have 50 different ones. I'm cool with that. I'm an idiot. I'm not doing this just so that you can inject ads into my phone.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is, yeah. But yeah, I think we all agree. I think board games significantly better than video games for a collective experience, I think. But, in general, I guess.
I don't agree with that. I just agree that a collective experience is better or more entertaining than an individual one.
Okay, so then you would say that video games are better than board games.
I think it doesn't matter. There's a place for Mario Kart and there's a place for Monopoly. I just like being with people playing stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So if you have a different opinion or feelings on that, video games versus board games, collective experience versus an online experience, go ahead and tweet us at NerdyThingsPod or send us an email, nerdythingspod@gmail.com for all that. And we might read them if you pay us. We might not. But if you tweet us, we'll probably reply with a GIF or something.
We'll read at least the name on the email to make sure that you've paid us.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that's it for this episode. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at NerdyThingsPod. It's all the same. Patreon.com/NerdyThingsPod to get a bunch of exclusive content. We're releasing a bunch every week, pretty much. I think we've got it down to like at least one thing a week. Or
the Sounds of the Beach coming next week.
Yeah, nice. Sounds of the Beach from Tim. And go look at our website, nerdythingspod.com, for some other content that some other people have made and all the nerdy stuff that you need to know about this week. So next week, what are we going to do? What's going on next week?
Next week? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and what I've been able to come up with is for next week's topic is I got no idea.
Okay, so you're stalling. I see what you're doing. I really want to see Baby Driver. So can we do like a review on Baby Driver real quick for next week, and then something else?
There's actually 3 movies this week that are all worth watching. Yeah, it's kind of a big week. Kevin and I talked about this yesterday. You've got Despicable Me 3.
Oh God.
Yep, which I'm going to see.
Oh, you've got The House, which we spent some time talking about.
Yep.
And you've got Baby Driver, which I actually am really excited for Baby Driver.
So let's pick 2 of those that are not Despicable Me.
Well, let's see how many we see. It's a busy week. Kevin and I got a party to go to soon.
So. Yeah, really? we're gonna be. This episode may come out late.
The episode may come out late, but I predict lots of Patreon content.
Yes, we will definitely. We'll be doing something. We'll have a video. We'll have probably me getting thrown out of Gillette Stadium.
Where the Patriots play, by the way.
It's gonna be awesome.
There'll be an interview. I can say this definitively. There will be an exclusive interview of Alan the Spoiler.
Definitely. Oh my God.
Alan the Spoiler we will have a sit down exclusive interview with the man, the myth, the legend, the infamous, the douchey Alan the Spoiler.
Man, I gotta be a patron on patreon.com/nerdythingspod then. Jeez.
Alan's paying for it just to listen to his own interview.
He is. So we'll do like a midsummer movie review. We'll not just talk about those, but we'll bring in some other movies that we haven't talked about yet. And we'll go over that so that we don't have to feel pressured to see all of these movies individually, but what we do see we can talk about, and then we can bring up the other stuff.
I'm going to see Baby Driver because I heard a lot of good things about it. And not
I'm looking forward to that one.
I got
I actually
a minion. I was over
because Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, that one. So yeah, we're going to be talking about movies next week. Super cool. Subscribe on iTunes, leave us a review and all that. I'd like to thank Adipsia for the use of his song Friends Don't Let Friends Go to TGI Fridays. You can hear more of his music at adipsia.bandcamp.com. He just released a new album called The Stoic.
The Stoic.
Yep.
And thank you to the Bell Curve for some of our other music.
Yeah, that we used during the huge topic.
Huge topic.
All right. That's it for this week.
Perfect.
Bye. Later.
Hi, this is Derek from The Wild Pitch, and I'd like to talk to you about something that's very important to me. My podcast, The Wild Pitch. Now, since you clearly don't have access to a skip button, listen to this.
Eat as many brats as possible.
And this.
An in-home cat communication system that allows your feline friends to talk to you through a series of intricate bell rings and button presses.
And how about that?
I imagine it would be about as satisfying as drinking orange juice after having a burrito.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, I don't know. Stare into the sun and you might hear it. It'll buzz in your ears.